Hello everybody, it's Non-Scene News here, and today we've got a lot of broken dates today. So the first news today is coming from Russia, where we've gotten some breaking news. And the breaking news from today is that Donald Trump has supposedly spoke to Vladimir Putin by phone on Thursday, the Washington Post citing sources. So the Kremlin hasn't yet confirmed the conversation between the presidential-elect Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, but according to the Washington Post, Trump told Putin not to escalate the Ukraine war in the post-election call. The US President-elect Donald Trump advised the Russian President Vladimir Putin against escalating the Ukraine war on Thursday in their first phone conversation following Trump's victory in the US presidential election. The Washington Post reported on Sunday, citing several people familiar with the matter. So during the call which Trump made from his Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida, he reminded Putin of Washington's military presence in Europe, the Washington Post cited. So, very interesting news. So, according to the Washington Post, so this is not confirmed by the US government nor the Russian government, but according to the Washington Post and some early rumors and some early news right now, is that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin have just had a phone conversation, and Trump demanded that Putin not to escalate the Ukraine war. We've just got news that Vladimir Putin has ratified the Treaty on Comprehensive Strategic Partnership between Russia and North Korea. So, Russia has just done another comprehensive strategic treaty with North Korea. So, this agreement formalizes military and logistic support from North Korea to Russia, including sending troops, ballistic missiles, and shells for the war against Ukraine. In exchange, the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has reportedly requested 600 to 700,000 tons of rice annually, a $2,000 salary for each soldier, and the access to advanced space technology. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, this is apparently the page of Putin approving this law, this agreement between North Korea and Russia. We've also got news that IKEA, the Swedish brand, has just finally left Russia. So the Swedish company sold its last assets in Russia near Moscow, and has completely withdrawn from Russia. So apparently the IKEA Swedish brand has completely left Russia. And now let's go to the Crimean Bridge. So we've got news that according to recent satellite videos, the Russians are continuing defense structures around the Crimean Bridge. So we can see here in the bottom left corner, according to this video and satellite imagery, the Russians continue to build defensive structures around the Crimean Bridge, including this little spot going over the water. So the Russians are building defensive structures in the water to try and stop Ukrainian or enemy drones going into the pillars that would eventually probably break the Crimean Bridge. So the Russians are taking action, and they are building defense structures around the Crimean Bridge. And now let's head to some political news in Ukraine. So, according to the BBC, Crimea is gone. The Trump advisor says focus must be on peace over regarding territory. So, very interesting news. Crimea is no more. The return of the peninsula to Ukraine is unrealistic, BBC citing Trump's new advisor. So Brian Lazar says that the new presidential administration will focus solely on achieving peace and not on reclaiming lost territory of Ukraine. So Zelensky must show us a realistic negotiation plan if he insists on occupied territories. We will not take it seriously or support it. So this is coming from the BBC and Trump's new advisor of his administration. So it seems with this new administration, the US is more interested in just stopping the war instead of bringing all of this territory, and including Crimea, to to Ukraine, according to the BBC. We've also got news that the President-elect Donald Trump is reportedly considering Ukraine peace plan that would create an 800-mile buffer zone along the front line, patrolled by European troops from the UK, Germany, and France. So we talked a little bit about this in a previous episode. We talked about how Donald Trump is going to be building this huge demilitarized zone along the front lines in Ukraine, which will be guarded by UN troops and maybe the UK, Germany, and France. But under this plan, Ukraine would have to pause its NATO ambitions as well for 20 years in exchange for continued US military aid through the US. And the US the US is neither going to send troops nor directly fund this buffer zone demilitarized mission. Interesting news. And we've also got news that Trump and Zelensky and Musk had a three-way phone call, and after the phone call, he commented on a post on X stating that the senseless killing will end soon. Time is up for the warmonger profiteers. So, interesting news. We've also got news that Russia has a deadly new flying bomb. So Russia is apparently using the new Grom E1 guided bombs with a range up to 120 kilometers, the Telegraph reports. So the Russian aviation has begun actively using the new Grom E1 guided bombs, which are capable of flying up to 120 kilometers thanks to a built-in rocket engine, writes analyst David AX. According to him, these bombs provide the Su-30 and the Su-34 with the ability to strike while remaining out of reach of most Ukrainian air defenses, including modern F-16s. So, interesting report coming from the Telegraph. We've also got news that the UK Defence Chief states that Russia loses up to 1,500 troops every single day in October. So the number of Russian troops injured and killed last month averaged 1,500 every single day. The UK Defence Staff Chief Anthony Radkin told the BBC on November the 10th. We've got news that the US is sending Ukraine more than 500 interceptor missiles for the Patriot system, defense system, and the NASAMS air defense system. So the US, we can expect the US sending 500 interceptor missiles for the Patriot system. And now let's head to Belarus, where we've got news that Belarus has begun to strengthen the border with Ukraine. In particular, it plans to build 2 new border outposts on the Ukrainian-Belarusian border. It is planned that all facilities for both border posts will be built by the end of 2026. We've got news coming from Hungary. The Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban talked about his visit to the capital city of Kiev and his talks with President Zelensky. So if you want to watch, if you want to listen to this quick clip, it's about 30 seconds long, of the Hungarian Prime Minister talking a little bit about his visit to Kiev and talking to the President Zelensky of Ukraine, then here it is. But if you don't, just skip 30 seconds ahead.
What I have done in Ukraine, not to convince the Ukrainians to do something. I just try to explain to the president that, please, my friend, the time is not on your side. And I'm ready to help you to create somehow a ceasefire and then later on a bearable peace. I was rejected because the president said that, Victor, this is not my point. My point is, as president of Ukraine, that the time is on our side. I said, thank you, President. I can't do more.
Very interesting statements coming from Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary. We've got news coming from Germany that Robert Habeck, Germany's Vice Chancellor and the Minister for Economic Affairs, has officially announced his candidacy for Chancellor on the behalf of the Green Party following the collapse of the ruling coalition party. So we've got news that Olaf Scholz, the current Chancellor of Germany, there might be elections soon that will kick Olaf Scholz out. And now we've got news that Robert Habeck, Germany's Vice Chancellor, is now going to be running on behalf of the Green Party to the German Chancellor. So I'll keep you updated on that. We've got news coming from the United Kingdom that Keir Starmer is set to increase British military spending to send a peace gesture to Trump, the Telegraph writes. The increase is intended to help establish a good relationship between the future US President Donald Trump and the Labour Party in the United Kingdom, the newspaper reports citing government sources. So they expect the 2.5% plan to be unveiled in the spring of 2025, just weeks after Trump enters the White House in January. So, if we remember earlier, Trump has previously threatened to pull out the US and of NATO unless Europe spends more money on its own security. And now we've just gotten news that the UK is set to increase its military spending by 2.5%. So quite a lot of money. We've also got news the death toll from heavy rains and floods in Spain has risen to 223 people, the country's transport minister stated. According to him, 78 are still missing and 48 of the dead have not been identified. So, very sad news. We've also got some news coming from the NATO Secretary General, Mark Rutte. He stated that if Trump surrenders Ukraine to Putin, he will personally expel the United States from the alliance. So, very big statements coming from the NATO Secretary General. So, according to him, if he allows Russia to gain these territories from Ukraine, then he will personally expel the United States from NATO. So let's see if he is a man of his word, I guess. And now let's head to Africa. We've got news that Algeria imposes trade curbs on France over the Sahara recognition. In the first half of 2024, trade between Algeria and France saw a slight dip over 3 years of steady growth. The Algerian Association of Banks and the Financial Institutions, a public entity that acts on behalf of the government to oversee trade, gathered local banks on Monday, November the 4th, to communicate a new directive. Imports and exports transactions with France are to be halted in response to France's recognition of Moroccan sovereignty over the Western Sahara Desert. So, interesting news now. Because of France's newly recognition of the Western Sahara Desert under Moroccan rule, Algeria is now going to even further decrease economic trade between France. We've got news coming from the Kingdom of Morocco. That's the Kingdom of Morocco's Minister of Foreign Affairs has stated that his country has seen signals from Algeria. Apparently, Algeria is preparing for military action against the North African Kingdom. He stated that some are trying to drag the region into a war. There are signs of escalation. Algeria seems to want to move on to military confrontation. We've got some news coming from Israel that the Israeli Prime Minister appoints new ambassador to the US. So the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has appointed a new ambassador to the United States after Donald Trump's election victory. The former Deputy Education Minister, Yeshalil Lester, I can't pronounce that name, but I'll put it here in your bottom right corner. So, according to Benjamin Netanyahu, this new US ambassador was born in the US and is deeply familiar with the American administration and society, Netanyahu posted on X. We've also got news that the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday acknowledged for the first time the country's involvement in the pager operation in Lebanon, confirming that he approved the September attack on the Lebanese Hezbollah movement that detonated hundreds of communication devices across Lebanon. His spokesman of Benjamin Netanyahu, Omer Dostria, said so. Israel has confirmed that it was them behind the attack. So interesting news. We've got some news coming from Yemen. We talked a little bit about this in the last video. that the Houthi Yemeni forces have shot down the 12th US MQ-9 drone in Yemen. So we can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see we've actually gotten the footage of the exact moment when the 12th American MQ-9 Reaper UAV was shot down over Yemen. And we've also gotten the aftermath of the footage. So we can see here, we can see the drone in flames, and this is clearly an MQ-9 Reaper. And this will be the 12th one the Yemeni Houthis have shot down so far. We've also got news that thousands of Yemenis are marching towards the center of the capital in solidarity with Lebanon and Palestine. So there's kind of a huge protest going on in the Yemen's capital city of thousands of Yemenis marching towards the center of the capital in solidarity with Lebanon and Palestine. So interesting news. We've also got news that another drone was taken down. So an American MQ-1C Grey Eagle UAV crashed in southern Somalia. So it wasn't shot down, it just crashed. So interesting news. We've also got some news coming from Turkey, that Erdogan, the president of Turkey, signals that he is open to another term as Turkish leader. So the president of Turkey said, as long as God grants us life and our nation approves, we will continue. So Erdogan has announced that he will be open in running another term as the Turkish leader. We've also got news coming from Iran. That's the Chief of General Staff of Saudi Arabian Armed Forces, who is visiting the capital city of Iran, Tehran, met with his Iranian counterpart. They discussed the expansion of defense diplomacy and the development of cooperation between the two countries. And now let's go to Afghanistan. So for the first time, the Taliban was invited to the UN Climate Conference. This is for the first time. So the Taliban, for the first time ever, has been invited to the UN Climate Conference for the first time. We've also got news that there was a huge terror attack on the Quetta railway station in Pakistan. So at least 26 people were killed in this huge terror attack, and over 46 were injured, according to The Hindu. The blast occurred at 8:45 a.m. local time, when about 100 passengers were waiting for a train, according to the police. The blast was carried out by a suicide bomber who used a 6 to 8 kilogram explosives. So the Polstan Liberation Army claimed responsibility for the attack. So it seems that it was a terrorist attack, and the I'll just put it here in your bottom right corner. The Polstan Liberation Army has claimed responsibility for this huge attack. I can't actually show you any of the footage. That is why I am announcing the opening of the Non-C News Telegram. So if you guys want to see all of this footage that I can't show on YouTube and the news that I get, just click the description below, which it should have the Telegram link there, where you can actually access my own Telegram channel. So it'll be the Non-C News Telegram channel if you guys want to see these videos and the news daily. So I'll be posting there every day. So if you want to join, it's just in the description below. If you don't, then let's just keep going. And now let's head to China, where we've just got news that China has unveiled its new unmanned combat catamaran JARI USVA ship. So this ship has arrived to participate in the air show in China in 2024. So this ship, with a displacement of 500 tons and a length of 58 meters, is equipped with a universal vertical launcher and a towed sonar and a helicopter type UAV. So this ship is apparently totally unmanned. We've also got news that an unknown aircraft was spotted at the expedition in the Zhuhai Air Show 2024. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see this unknown fighter jet, which is partially covered. This is the promising Chinese 6th generation fighter jet. So I'm not sure if this is completely real or not. A lot of people are posting this at the moment, but apparently, according to this video, this might just be China's new 6th generation fighter. So I'll keep you updated on that. We've gotten some news coming from China's space launch. So we've got news that China has launched remote censoring satellites into space. So the Long March 2C has successfully launched four PiSat-2 satellites into orbit from China's satellite launch center here. So it's kind of in the desert at this exact location. So, according to the Chinese media, the new satellites will mainly provide commercial remote sensing data services. So very interesting news coming from China. And now let's head to the Philippines, where we've got news that the Philippines have yet again experienced another typhoon. This one is the Typhoon Yinsing. So the 13th major storm hit the nation this year and sparked mass flooding and landslides. Just weeks after the typhoon Binika killed 6 people. Although so far there are no reports of casualties on this new typhoon that hit the Philippines, but 2 airports have been damaged while 40,000 villagers from the Cagayan province were evacuated. Sorry, I can't speak today. To a higher ground as precaution. So this whole area was evacuated. So interesting news: about 40,000 people were evacuated, and 2 airports were apparently allegedly damaged. We've got news coming from Indonesia that Indonesian and Russian navies complete first joint drills, marking a new era of cooperation. The naval forces of Indonesia and Russia have wrapped up their first joint drills in the Java Sea, so this exact sea here. These exercises are following Indonesia's recent commitment to strengthening defense ties with Russia. Very interesting news. We've also got news come from Brazil that Brazil plans to purchase additional JAS-39 Gripen fighter jets from Sweden. So Brazil intends to increase its order of the JAS-39 Gripen fighters from Sweden by 25%, which means the purchase of 9 additional aircrafts for Brazil from Sweden. We've gotten some news come from Canada that Canada has reported the first human case of H5 bird flu. A teenager has been hospitalized, so we've gotten no further information about this, but Canada has confirmed and reported the first human case of H5 bird flu. A teenager has been hospitalized. And now the last news is coming from the United States. So security has been significantly beefed up at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida following his victory in the US presidential elections. Even robotic dogs have been spotted patrolling the area. So Trump's house has been beefed up, so there's a lot of security forces since now he's won the presidential elections, including robotic dogs. We've also gotten some more news coming from the US, but this one is coming from Kentucky. That's Rubicon USA has been awarded a $435 million contract to build a new TNT plant in Kentucky. So the US Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, who played a key role in securing the funding, said that the new plant is in his home state was a part of a larger overhaul of the US defense industry needed to deter adversaries abroad. So a new TNT military plant is being built in Kentucky, worth about nearly 440 million US dollars. And the last news come today is that the Pentagon has lifted the ban on the US contractors repairing weapons in Ukraine. So the US Department of Defense has just lifted a ban on the presence of US military contractors on the Ukrainian territory to repair weapons supplied by the US to Ukraine. And that's all the news I actually have for you today. I am Non-Scene News. I'll try and provide you news that medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.